Hamas says the official was a leader of the group's armed wing. Israel has not commented on the strike. And people across the region are still waiting to see how Israel will respond to Tuesday's Iranian missile strike. Both Israel and the U.S. have warned of consequences. Citing top State Department officials, CNN says Israel has not given the U.S. assurances that it won't target Iranian nuclear sites. Let's bring in Paul Pillar from the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Mr. Pillar, sir, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your time. We are hearing that Israel has launched strikes on Beirut targeting Hezbollah's presumed new leader. What do you anticipate Iran's response will be as all of this unfolds?
Well, right now, the ball is very much in Israel's court. Much of the attention here in Washington is being focused, of course, on Lebanon, the main focus of your story, but also on the subject of what Israel is going to do next as some kind of response to the Iranian missile salvo earlier this week, which was itself retaliation for some of the Israeli actions, including the strike that killed Hassan Nasrallah, as well as a senior Iranian officer. So it's the hope, I think, is on the Iran-Israel front that we'll see a replay of what we saw back in April, in which the final blow that was struck by Israel, getting in the last licks, was relatively restrained, and the Iranians were willing to call it a day. As far as the whole Lebanon situation is concerned, as you indicated earlier in your report, the Israelis seem determined to do much more than simply establish a buffer zone in southern Lebanon, but are out to degrade as much as possible the capabilities of Hezbollah. That is not going to take Hezbollah out of action. We had a previous full-scale war between Hezbollah and Israel back in 2006, and as we see, Hezbollah is still very much standing.
Do you think that it is possible that Israel could target Iran nuclear sites? And if yes, what would it look like?
It is possible. President Biden, made a reference to that in answer to a question by a reporter just yesterday, and the U.S. is reportedly trying to discourage that. In terms of what it would look like, the Israelis, and I think Israeli war planners realize this, would face a major challenge in that the sites that really matter, the uranium enrichment capabilities in particular, are deep underground. And they would have a very large problem in trying to disable them to any great degree. Such a strike is more likely to have the counterproductive effect of increasing the chance that decision makers in Tehran will decide that they need a better deterrent, which means a nuclear weapon.
Now, as we are seeing strikes expand towards the north, hitting Tripoli, what are your concerns about this spreading into a wider regional conflict?
Well, I think that involves the Iran dimension. And if we have a more forceful Iranian, or rather Israeli strike against Iran, where the decision makers in Tehran cannot decide that they will do what they did in April and to stand down, and we have some sort of counter to the counter to the counter, and especially with U.S. forces having gotten into the region with a declared objective of helping to defend Israel, then I do think we have a substantial chance of a wider war. But I hold out hope that we will have a replay of what we saw in April.
That is our time. We will have to leave it there. Paul, thank you very much for being here with us today.
You're welcome.